TMZ just aired a new documentary about Justin Bieber called What Happened to Justin Bieber? And it's going into a lot of areas of his life, his mental health, his alleged marriage troubles, and of course, his alleged money troubles. It was back in October last year that the rumor mill started and claimed Justin Bieber was looking into legal action to remedy being used by a lot of former managers that he had around since he was about 13 years old. He's cut ties with a lot of them, and he still hasn't talked very openly about the reasons why. One of them is Scooter Braun, and that was his manager for a long time, but they are no longer in a business relationship or even friends. He has now blocked Scooter Braun on social media. And people are saying that either Justin Bieber is choosing not to speak on the matter, or he is in such a high pressure legal situation with Scooter Braun and other former management that he is not able to speak on these matters. And there's also a rumor that the continued press disaster around Justin Bieber and his personal life is being executed by Scooter Braun in order to discredit him and make him seem crazy to the public.
I mean, he's not helping his own case, like,
no,
most
he's
of
not.
the time. Like,
No.
His social media posts aren't doing anything to
He's
really
not
help
doing
him
himself
right now.
any favors. But here's what TMZ revealed earlier this week. Justin Bieber's relationship with longtime manager Scooter Braun disintegrated over money. Millions of dollars Justin claimed Scooter underhandedly took, but an extensive TMZ investigation shows just the opposite. When the disastrous Justice Tour ended in 2022, multiple sources with direct knowledge tell us that Justin was broke. So, at the time, he ended the Justice Tour early due to health issues. This was back when he was diagnosed with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome and half his face was paralyzed. And I'm sure there were other issues behind the surface as well. So he was given a $40 million advance by this tour promoter, AEG, and he was not coughing up the money because all of the tour dates were canceled that he didn't end up doing. So he ended up owing them, I think that for a health issue, yeah.
You would think.
But no, there were...
I mean, if you're taking a loan on a tour, you can insure that. And I don't understand why he wouldn't insure that much money, $40 million. You buy insurance for that. Yeah. That's totally normal in the business, like in the music industry. So go ahead, I'm sorry, but it blows my mind that he didn't have some kind of insurance policy.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that detail.
Yeah, there was nothing relevant mentioned like that in the articles.
Yeah. So by the time that he canceled the remainder of the Justice Tour, he still owed them $24 million. And Scooter Braun decided to provide Justin with a loan for that amount over a 10-year period, I believe. And it was reported to have a favorable rate for Justin because, when you do business with friends, you get favors like that. So this was what Scooter did. Hybe agreed to pay off the debt, and Justin signed a note promising to pay back Hybe over a decade-long period. Justin made one installment and then stopped paying. They say Scooter's sources say Justin's people called and said he didn't have the money. Our Justin sources say that his business manager, Lou Taylor, started digging into the books and concluded that Scooter was grossly overpaid in commissions by $26 million.
Well, what constitutes being overpaid in commissions? Like, what would that mean?
I don't know if we're to trust that anyway, because he has since cut ties with Lou Taylor as well.
Like, when I think of that seems like a very innocuous phrase.
Yeah.
Like, I'm guessing commission rates, depending on the producer, would be different based on how long you've worked with them, their success rate.
Scooter Braun's his manager, right?
Yes.
Management.
Or he was his manager.
Okay, so management usually is anywhere from 15 to 20%, right? Of generally of everything. And that, like when you sign the deal, usually what the rate is. So if he was overpaid, I would look to my business manager and say, hey, why did you overpay him? His rate was this. Why is he getting this? And so the idea of overpaid, to me, I'd be like, that's not Scooter's fault. Well, Scooter should have said, hey, I'm getting paid too much money. If this were the case, right? If what they're saying is actually true, he would say, hey, I'm being paid too much money. You need to talk to your business manager and make sure that it's squared away.
Is there a world
I want to get further into the detail, though. Hybe, this is Scooter's company, did an internal audit and determined that Scooter was actually underpaid commissions and that Justin owed him $1 million. We're told Scooter waived that amount, but Justin's people felt it was a corrupt audit because Hybe was just covering themselves. Hybe then hired an independent auditor, which determined that Justin actually owed Scooter more like $8.8 million.
So
and
is that
TMZ confirmed that figure is on the document from the independent auditor.
So the independent auditor says that he owes $8 million to Scooter Braun, but Scooter Braun only thought he owed $1 million?
Yeah. And then Justin's sources say his team didn't dispute that number, but they conducted their own audit and didn't reveal what they found.
This sounds like Justin
news.
Bieber's all in the wrong. Like,
so
on
there's
the face
more.
Of it.
There's
okay,
more. And I actually, I'll wait before I opine on this. Justin made somewhere between $500 million and $1 billion as a pop star, but blew it all. This is TMZ's next report from the documentary. And he ended up being in such dire financial shape that he had to sell his music catalog for $200 million. This was back in 2022.
Okay, this is insane.
So people on Justin's side told TMZ he was on the verge of financial collapse in 2022, so much so that he felt he had to sell the rights to his music that December. But Justin's manager at the time, Scooter Braun, tried to tell him it was a bad idea to sell so early in his career, but if he was going to, at least to wait until January 2023, just a month later, in order to get a tax break. But Justin didn't want to wait, so he sold it in December. And he is the youngest to ever sell his music catalog among any major artist.
Justin Bieber is absolutely wrong. Like, your catalog is an asset. He could go and take a loan out against his asset. He didn't have to sell it. He could say, how much money do I need to pay whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I can't imagine how you get over $100 million in debt without having any kind of asset to show for it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, that's a lot of blowing, booze, and partying, right? Like, you can't do that in a weekend. Yeah. You know, that you just can't. So that catalog is an asset that he can go to his publishing company or basically any bank and say, I need a loan, and I'm putting up my catalog or this portion of my catalog as collateral to show that he's good for it, because he's going to get that publishing money over time. So the idea that he has to sell it to pay his bills is insane.
Looks like just based on private properties, he owns about $45 million in homes.
It's better to sell it's better to sell property because the property doesn't generate income the way that his catalog does.
Beverly Hills mansion. Granted, he owns these with his wife, but his Beverly Hills mansion is worth about $25.8 million. His estate in La Quinta, California, is worth $16.6 million, and a lakefront home in Ontario worth $5 million. So maybe offload two of those, and I don't know.
Yeah, I just find it strange how the narrative around Justin Bieber is making him out to be such a victim, like he's been totally helpless, even though he is an adult after all.
Well, you can be a victim and still further responsible for your actions later in life. Like, you can have suffered at the hands of others. Again, and that's what people are talking about here. I already see people in the chat who are like, he never stood a chance after the Diddy parties, which we don't even know anything about in relation to him, other than that video of him meeting Diddy, which, to be fair, was freaking weird.
There was
and creepy.
That one video from when he was 14, hanging out with Diddy and doing who knows what for an undisclosed 48 hours with Diddy. Okay, there is no further concrete evidence from any source that he was a victim of abuse at the hands of Diddy.
He could have been.
He could have been, but I think people are reaching in that specific story. And honestly, like, yeah, he joined this industry as a child, and he was managed by the same people for a very long time, people that he trusted and maybe shouldn't have. And he probably is financially illiterate to this day. That's probably what's happening here.
I can't imagine what he spent that money on that he doesn't have to show for. Like you were talking about, he's got property. So the properties, granted, those will increase in value, but they don't have the same kind of return as the catalog does. Like the catalog is
That's
going
his
to
lifeblood.
Yeah,
right?
the catalog will keep paying you every 6 months or however. I don't know how it's set up, how his publishing is set up, but every few months he's going to get a fat check. If he owes people money, he can say, okay, let's figure out a payment plan. This check will come every 6 months from publishing, blah, blah, blah. I know how much I get from my stuff. And if I needed money, I know that I could take a loan out against my royalties for the stuff. I know about how much it's worth. I got our label offered to buy it from us, and I was like, no, I'm not going to sell it. But I know how much it's worth.
Yeah.
And I know how much I can expect, and I know that if I wanted to take a loan out against it, I could. And like, these things are assets and they have value. So the idea that he's just like, oh, I got to sell this so I can get this big lump sum of money, which is less than what he would get over time. That's why people sell it, because the company whoever buys it will take that and they'll consider it an asset, and it's probably something like BlackRock or whatever, and they'll be like, okay, our investors can look at this and they'll be able to pay the investors dividends based on the catalog that they owe because of how much how much it generates. So the idea that he's like, oh, I have to sell this to cover my bills, no. You can take a loan out to cover your bills, or you could just set up a payment plan and actually pay your effing bills. To me, it sounds like Justin Bieber is just terrible with money, and I don't know what he's doing with his money.
I think that based on the information of him being advised to even wait 30 days and not waiting, if that's true, we can surmise that this was a decision he made impulsively and based on emotion.
Bought by Hypnosis Songs Capital, which is private equity firm Blackstone.
Private equity. That's exactly what it is. They're taking that, putting it into they're paying out the dividends that it creates. So yeah, absolutely.
He's got tech ventures. Does anybody know what MoonPay is?
No.
That's a shit coin.
Cryptocurrency payment startup valued at $3 billion. Legacy, a digital fertility clinic focusing on male fertility.
Digital?
I haven't fact checked any of this. This is ChatGPT. If it's wrong, we have a whole previous segment to tell you why it's wrong. Tomorrow Sports, a tech-forward sports venture co-founded by Tiger Woods. Well, of course it's going to be successful. It's got Tiger Woods.
I mean,
yeah, like overextended and poor financial decisions. Sharks circling.
But someone like Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is a very smart businessman. Tiger Woods ain't broke.
Nope.
Tiger Woods' wife took half of his stuff, and he ain't broke. Yep. Tiger Woods is hanging out with Donald Trump. He knows the president. Yeah. He's still successful. So it's not like oh, Tiger Woods stole my money. Tiger Woods, I gave money to Tiger, and Tiger ran off to an island and bought it or something. It's like, I don't know what Justin Bieber is doing with his money. And I don't know how you like.
They said, Justin, you're broke. He said, what do you mean?
One of the major key players in all of this is the business manager that he fired in around this time last year, Lou Taylor. She is known for an alleged affair with Britney Spears' father, being Britney Spears' business manager as well, even though she had no experience in accounting.
Is she a CPA at least?
No.
Not a CPA.
No.
Good grief.
She's a pastor's wife, and she allegedly mismanaged Britney Spears' funds for, a vacation with her dad, like to get baptized in the Holy Land and a bunch of weird stuff. She and Britney's father were allegedly the ones who plotted her conservatorship, and then months after saying that Britney was incapacitated, signed her on to do a tour. And, you know, enriched themselves off of her.
I will say
slave
that
labor, basically.
if you want to be positive about it, it's not like his name will not sell records once he starts releasing music again.
And he is telling people, at least, that he is recording new music. I think he probably sold his catalog for emotional reasons, like, oh, I just want to start fresh, so I want to get rid of it.
One of the things they talked about when I was reading
Insane.
that last time we talked about him, that last article, was like he lost out on a lot of money because he ended up doing a lot of stuff where he was featuring on other people's tracks that became really, really popular, which he didn't own. So he probably got flat rates. Yeah, he probably got flat rates on those rather than owning the publishing to it. And if he starts making his own music again, it's not like he can't go on his own and do that. But he's actually so big now, where it's like, we've talked about the music industry before, and about how for a lot of those mid-tier artists who are on the radio but aren't necessarily a Taylor Swift or something like that, it's like you get kind of caught in this sphere where it's expensive to be an artist. Right? And it would actually make you more money to do it on your own. It's just a whole lot more work. He's almost too big to do it, quote unquote, on his own.
I want to also mention that after he fired Lou Taylor last year, this was about a year ago, he replaced her with an actual financial advisor whose name is Edward White.
Okay.
Edward White worked with Johnny Depp as Johnny Depp's business manager. They say he assisted Depp in a lawsuit against the Management Group in 2017, which is such an ominous name, where Johnny Depp accused that management group of fraud and non-payment of his tax returns, resulting in a significant penalty for Johnny Depp. Additionally, Edward White testified in Johnny Depp's defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard, providing insights into their divorce settlement and financial disputes. So Justin Bieber hired this same financial advisor to take over where Lou Taylor left off. And I can only guess that Edward White is now picking up the pieces of whatever financial collapse occurred for Justin in 2022, and then was possibly worsened by Lou Taylor, who has no experience as an accountant.
Yeah. I hope
he just seems to trust people. He seems to like trust the wrong people for the wrong reasons, and make decisions impulsively and emotionally. He has no financial literacy and no actual experience as an adult. And yeah, I think that people are kind of rushing to the conclusion, mistakenly, that he's universally a victim of the industry, when in reality it's a both and situation. Yes, some people most definitely took advantage of him over the years. Scooter Braun probably has. But also, he has made unwise decisions in his own right that he is responsible for.
The way that it sounds to me is Scooter Braun is actually fairly good to him. Like, if he's like, you owe me $1 million, but I'll forget about it. And then Justin Bieber's kind of a cunt about it. And so he's just like, actually, we'll get a third party to look at it. And the third party's like, actually, you owe him $8 million.
He also knows that he makes him more money the longer they're taking. Like, if we're taking the cynical view of it, he knows that a one-time.
Scooter Braun, though, look who he manages. The money itself isn't all that important.
I'm just like, he knows that working with him for longer periods of time will net him more than one big pulling of the wool over his eyes and getting money out of him. He knows that he makes more money for him the longer they work together. If we're taking the cynical view, and the more positive view is that he actually likes him and wants to see him do well, whether you believe that or not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know all of the details, obviously, but I do think that people are kind of rushing to a narrative that, like, Scooter Braun is this evil, comic villain in the music industry who takes advantage of all of his clients and all this stuff, when in reality, he's just a businessman.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that he's out to, leave his clients destitute because he's just inherently an evil person. I think that he's just a smart businessman who made smart business decisions over time. He was also villainized for Taylor Swift's catalog getting sold, when in reality that was a completely normal transaction that took place and has taken place in the music industry.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.